All right, today we are starting a new topic. This is topic 10. Topic 10 is about adding and subtracting fractions. We're going to start, I'm combining a few different lessons, and that's okay, but we're going to start with adding fractions. So we start with adding fractions because it has the least amount of steps to be able to go ahead and find an answer. So what I'm going to do, go ahead and get your title on there. Go ahead and get your I can statement. I'm going to actually have you write out the steps for doing this because there's quite a few of them. But every single time that you're adding fractions, I want you to come back to these steps. These steps are really, really important. If you don't do all of the steps, then you're going to end up with something that doesn't make sense. So the first thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you a pizza, of course, because we deal with pizzas when we're doing fractions. So I'm going to say that I bought pizza for the teacher's lounge. And the first lunchtime, the teachers ate they only ate 1/4. It was a surprise, so they didn't eat a lot of it. They only ate 1/4 of the pizza. The second lunchtime, they ate 3/8. So you're drawing this in your notebook, and we're going to go ahead and write the fractions. This is 1/4, and out of this pizza, they ate 3/8. So the question is, how much pizza did they eat altogether? Well, the problem with doing this, we have 1/4 plus 3/8 because it's all together. The problem with doing this is this pizza is cut into 8 pieces, but this pizza is cut into 4 pieces. So if I say, oh, these teachers over here, they ate only 1/4. 4 is smaller, they ate less. It's not how it works. Remember I said that the bottom number, the denominator, only tells how many pieces the item is cut into. We have to make sure that we're comparing the same things. We're trying to add the same things. But with a denominator of 4 here and a denominator of 8 here, our pizzas are cut into different sizes. So I can't say they ate 3, they ate 1, oh, they ate 4 pieces. Because a piece here is this big, but a piece here is boop, 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 a lot smaller. So we have to change our denominators so that they are the same. If we do not do that, we are adding weird things. Okay, so we already talked about how the denominator has to be the same. I went ahead and wrote the steps down, so I'd like you to write those steps down as well. We're going to focus on step 1 first, which I talked about with the last screen. We have to check that denominator. If that denominator is not the same, we have to go directly to step 2. If the denominator is the same, we say, oh, I already did it, don't have to worry about it. But our denominators are definitely not the same. They are different. We have one denominator that is a 4 and one that's an 8. So we go directly to step 2. Step 2 says find the least common multiple of the denominator. We've talked about multiples before. It's like the times 1 times 2 times 3. We want to go until both 4 and 8, one of their multiples are the same. So we say, okay, well, 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12, and we could have to keep going. But I'm going to go ahead and just stop right there to see if I see something in common. Then I have to do it with 8. Well, 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 3 is 24, and I'm going to evaluate. I'm going to look and I'm going to say, ooh, is there anything that they have in common? Immediately your eyes should go to, hey, look, they have 8, They have 8. Their least common multiple is going to be 8. We need to find, if we were asked to find their smallest, their least common multiple, we have now found 8 as the least common multiple. Okay, so our next step, step 3, is going to be, we're going to create an equivalent fraction. We're going to get the denominators to the least common multiple. Well, in the last screen, we found out that their least common multiple was, oh, well, that's weird. The least common multiple was 8. So we need to get the bottom number to 8. Well, in a fraction, what we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So we have to figure out what we're going to multiply both the top and the bottom by to get the denominator to 8. That's our least common multiple. We need to get it to 8. So, knowing that, I'm gonna go ahead and put an 8 down here. Oops, not there. Sorry. Erase. I'm gonna put an 8 here because I want to get the fraction to have an 8 on the bottom. And over here, I need 8 on the bottom. Both fractions need to have 8 on the bottom. So 4 times what equals 8? It's okay, get your multiplication strips if you need to, or you can look back at the multiple chart that you just made. So your multiple chart is going to tell you 4 times 2 is 8. Well, what we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So we multiply on the top. 1 times 2 is 2, and we have an equivalent fraction to 1/4 that has 8 on the bottom. Over here, 8 times something equals 8. 8 times something equals 8. It's 8 times 1. And what we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. If you knew this already, you wouldn't even need to do this multiplication part. If you already knew, hey, 8's on the bottom, so I don't have to touch that fraction. That'd be cool. Okay, so the next step of this, now that we have the bottom number the same, we can go ahead and add. But it's important that we leave the denominator the same when we add. We are not adding how many pieces we're cutting the product into. We are simply saying, hey, it was cut into those many pieces to start with. In this fraction, we have 2 out of the 8. In this fraction, we have 3 out of the 8. So we're going to put these pieces together to see what we have. So we go ahead and add. And we say, well, 2 plus 3, remember plus, not times, and then we leave that bottom number the same. That's how we add the fractions. If our bottom number was already 8, we would have to skip all those middle steps 2 and 3 and go all the way down to step 4. If our bottom number is the same, we don't even have to touch that fraction. We just add it together, keeping that bottom number the same. We don't change the number of pieces it's cut into. Okay, we're super close to being done. But step 5 says we need to simplify or reduce or put it into lowest terms. That all means the same thing if needed. So we have to do a little checking. We have to, we learned the tree method to figure out, do they have anything in common? Okay, well, 5, the only numbers that can multiply to make it is 5 and 1, and I've told you, hey, we don't worry about that if it's just 5 and 1. That means that 5 is prime. Well, 8 we can separate into 2 times 4, and 4 we can separate into 2 times 2. Well, 2 is prime, 2 is prime, 2 is prime. They have nothing in common. There is no 5 on this side, there is no 2 on this side, so that means that this fraction right here is simplified. Sometimes you're going to get fractions when you add them together where the top number is bigger than the bottom number. Remember, what happens is that top number gets too heavy and it falls into the house. So when it falls into the house, we have a division problem we have to do. And we say, oh, okay, well, 6 goes into 7 one time. 7 take away 6 is 1. So then our big number is our answer to this is going to be 1 and 1 6. We have one whole item and we have one part out of 6 left over. So that's how we would simplify it. We have to simplify. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and go to class kick. Before you go there, refresh your memory on our clues for our number. Your first clue was that there's a 5 in the 10 spot. Your second clue was that it's even. And today's clue, your third clue, is that the number in the 100 spot is odd.